Okay, all right. How's everybody doing? Great. All right, so obviously a huge week for us, very busy week. Get back at it, which is good. It'd be great to go out and practice today. We're excited to do that. It'd be, we got a long week here, so kind of a similar program to what we did, I would say, to start the season. We'll practice today, tomorrow, see what it looks like on Friday, and then, back on the field on Saturday and kind of, try to get into as much of a normal routine as possible as we get ready for the game next Monday. From that standpoint, we got, pretty much everybody's going to go out and try to do what they can do today. So I think Mike Daniels is the only one that's out right now. We know we got a little bit of extra time here to progress as the week goes. So we're going to try to take advantage of all of that before we get to the game. And then obviously being a night game, we got a little bit of extra time. So we'll use all of that, but we'll see how it goes, as everybody, gets back out there today. It's been little bit of time off here, so we'll see what it looks like when we get on the field. But meetings are good. We're rolling. We're grinding. We know we got a huge challenge. They got a great team, great players, well coached. So be a big opportunity in front of us.
Does that mean TJ Hawkinson's out of concussion?
Nope. Just means he'll be out there doing part of whatever that is right now in the wherever stage they're at.
Matt, I wanted to go back to something from the conference call yesterday, just the pre-snap motion. You say it really stresses a defense. Can you, I guess, elaborate a little bit more, explain a little bit more about how pre-snap motion stresses out a defense?
Yeah, sure. I think one of the things that teams do when they do different types of motions, right, different types of formations, alignments, whether it's wide alignments and they, may move a particular receiver or a tight end or a back, sometimes it's to gather information at the line of scrimmage for the quarterback. Sometimes they're trying to identify maybe different fronts, different coverages, different adjustments from that standpoint. So it gives them information. I think sometimes when they condense the formations down and they give some of that faster motion going across the ball, a lot of times with that, when it's combined with the run game, you can wind up with maybe players not in the proper gap, run responsibility gaps, and create extra space in the run game that way too. And also, create space in the zone coverages, so once you condense everything down, things become a little bit more difficult from that standpoint, whether it's zone drops and getting your spacing correct or also man coverage and trying to work through traffic. So they do it for a lot of different reasons. I think when they mix combinations of all of it, that's when it becomes tricky from that standpoint. And you're trying to do everything you can defensively not to get caught in a bad situation from there. So definitely pre-snap used IDs for the quarterback, which is good. And then also try to get gap displacement in the run game. Those are kind of two of the biggest things.
It's probably not a 30-second answer to this, but how do you, when you're looking at those things, guard against being too reactive to it and
Sure.
make sure the defense is still getting the guys on the field that you want to be on the field and all those sorts of things?
Yeah, I think, the biggest thing for that is just to try to get familiar with it through the course of the week, understand why they're doing it and what they're doing it for. And once you can get a good grasp of that with the players, then I think it slows everything down from that aspect of it. So, again, one of the things teams do that with the personnels and the motions and the shifts is just to keep the speed of the game at a high level. And we all know that when we can get the game to slow down a little bit, everybody can play a little faster. So that's the challenge with that.
And every venue in the NFL is unique, but what makes Lambeau so special?
Yeah, obviously the history and the tradition of that organization, that franchise. You feel it when you walk into the stadium. You kind of just kind of have that sense of the history of the game. Obviously, I think they're the third oldest franchise in the NFL right now. So, that's pretty awesome. It's pretty great to walk into a rivalry like we have, with the two organizations and be a part of that. I think it's just super cool. And like I said, if you love the game and love the history of the game, that's where you want to be. So you just have that feeling, when you walk in. It's no different than, I remember walking into the Orange Bowl back in the day and seeing clips of, walking into the spots where you'd see Super Bowl III highlights, and you just kind of, that nostalgia just throws you right back into, those old tapes and those old games that you've seen, through the years.
You talk about the rivalry. You guys have had some success in the rivalry over the past few years, yourself being a part of that as well. When you look at rivalries, and sometimes they're one-sided when you look at like the overall records, how much do you take as like, all right, let's get this back, let's try to turn the tide in the rivalry?
Yeah, I think for us it's one game at a time right now. So you try to bring too much of that in, you're going to lose focus on what's really important, and that's just getting ready to play this game this week. And certainly that has enough of a challenge in and of itself. whatever's been in the past is in the past. I'm worried about the Packers now. They're different players, different guys, different coaches, different schemes, and that's what we got to prepare for. So it's certainly cool when you can sit back and look at all that stuff and reminisce or like have those nostalgic feelings about it. But in the moment of preparation and in the moment of the game, it's just about that game.
You always get a little twinkle in your eye, like talking about the history of the game and everything. Why is that so important? Why does some of that stuff just mean so much to you?
Sure. I think that's where you fall in love with the game. When you're young. I think all of us have different love for the game, but for me in particular, it's I love the history of the game. Probably love history just in general. And then when you tie it into a game like football, something that I'm obviously extremely passionate about. It goes from there. But just think understanding all that, seeing all that, it's really neat. It's really cool, and knowing who walked, and who came before you, and tying that all together, I think is pretty awesome.
We got a little bit into their defense yesterday. Obviously, their front is generating a lot of buzz, but I just wonder about the back end with the retooling of their safeties with Amos and Savage. What have they been able to do to help that Packers defense?
Yeah, I think Amos, he's playing at a really good level. I think he's really his recognition in the back end, I think, has improved a lot. I think he can play down, he can play aggressive, he can do all those things. We know he can tackle extremely well, but I would say his communication, his awareness in the back end really looks at a very high level right now. I think in combination with Alexander out on the edge and King on the edge, those guys are doing a really good job. You got Williams in at the slot in the nickel position. Who's a veteran, fast, quick, playing at a high level right now. I think all of those guys working together, and then, of course, Savage in the deep part of the field. Those guys I just think are all on the same page. I think it's, again, we talk about defense all the time, the combination of rush and coverage and, the marriage of those two together. I think right now that's where they're at. They're at a really high level where they know whether it's zone or man, the front is going to get there in a certain amount of time and the ball's coming out, and whether it's zone and they got to go top down and read the quarterback hard and fast and go make, really impactful plays that way, or it's going to be man coverage and, things may be going vertical or cross fields. I think they're just doing a great job with that overall. But to me, the biggest thing right now is the communication looks like it's at a high level, and I think the safeties are driving that.
Any more questions, guys?
I think we asked this just kind of in relation to other injury guys in the past, but do you prepare for Devontae Adams this week? You expect him to play? How do you sort of handle that?
Yeah, I think for us, knowing that it's a long week, and knowing that, he didn't participate last week, I would anticipate for us that, he's going to be out there and he's going to play. So we'll push forward with that and obviously, talk about it if he doesn't, but right now, go forward like he is.
Would be remiss to ask it, I'm sure you'll get it later this week, but Aaron Rodgers, just his play this year seems to be elevated from his usual elevated self. Are you seeing similar things like that when you look at him?
Yeah, obviously, guy's been doing it for a long time at a high level. It's pretty impressive. It's pretty amazing, actually. One of the, fiercest competitors with just this calmness about him that's, pretty amazing. I think when you step on the field and, you see what he can do and operate at such a high level and just really unfazed by so many things that are happening around him and just continues to, make these great plays. It's pretty unbelievable. One of the things that they're doing that they've been known for, but I think he's just doing a great job this year, are some of the free plays that he's getting, whether it's substitutions or, his cadence is amazing. So he gets the hard counts, gets guys to jump, and they're really converting those into touchdowns. They're converting them into major points. They've done that a couple times this year, and those are really hard to do and really hard to execute just to be able to gain yardage, let alone score, on top of that. So still operating at the line of scrimmage, the check with me system, full control over the offense. You'll see that all the way through, trying to get him in the best plays possible. Just really, I would say through the progression of the year, looks very much more comfortable, much more, calm in everything that's going on around him. I know sometimes with that offense there's a lot of verbiage, initially, and some of the play calls may be a little bit long, but it looks like he's handling all that really well, and certainly, put them in their home stadium where he has, complete control with the communication, makes it much more difficult. Very great. Okay. All right. Appreciate it. Thanks.